Okay, so thank you everyone for joining. I think we're going to get started at a respective time. We have quite a bit to cover, but we hope it'll be a fun session for everyone to learn a little bit about how you can market your products better, and then some opportunities for electronic sales and using Snap as today's session. So the overview today is we're going to discuss marketing in digital era and an overview of electronic sales. I am Trent Blair. I'm an assistant professor in food and resource economics. I'm based at the Tropical Research and Education Center here in Homestead, Florida. I'm fortunate to have several other colleagues with me today. There's Freddie Balin, who's also here with Trek at the Tropical Research and Education Center. He'll be presenting later on electronic sales. We have Solina Rus. She's also with Miami-Dade County Extension, and she'll be discussing on SNAP benefits. We have Vanessa Vaselaros, who is also with Miami-Dade County Extension, who will be helping to answer some questions. And we have Jeff Wasilowski, who is also with Miami-Dade County Extension, who will be helping with answer questions as needed. So I'm very appreciative of all our participants. At the end, you'll meet Lori Baker, who's also, she's with the Agriculture, Education, and Communications in Gainesville. And there is Michaela, who has helped design a lot of our programs. We thank the great team that's put together on this. This is our sponsors for the project. The project is sponsored by the Southern Extension Risk Management Education, which is part of the United States Department of Agriculture. We're also part of Michaela and Lori are part of the Center for Rural Engagement, and us here at the Tropical Research and Education Center. So we thank all our sponsors that have helped us put together this program and the manuals that we will be sharing with you. So before we get started on today's agenda, we have a short poll that we'd like for you all to fill out. In the poll, there are questions to see what you know already about marketing and the different issues. So please take a few minutes to fill out the poll. It should only take you a couple minutes to fill out. And if you don't know a question, that's okay, because you'll be learning about it today as we go through the program. But just to get an idea of some things you know and what you know about direct marketing, digital marketing. So this is some fun questions that we have. Just while you're filling out the poll, I'll go a little bit over agenda. So right now will be the introduction overview of the workshop. As soon we'll spend half an hour going over the 9 steps in developing a marketing plan that I'll present and show you how to use the marketing manual. We'll provide you links with the marketing manual, so you can look over the marketing manual that we developed. We have one in English and in Spanish. After that, we'll take a short break to get refreshments or walk around, whatever. And then last hour, we'll be discussing electronic sales. Freddie Balin will go over electronic sales, how to make sales to SNAP recipients. That Selena will be presenting, and then we'll have the closing remark and evaluations, how we did. Within this, something I also want to point out is if you notice that there is an area to answer questions, ask questions. So if you have any questions at all throughout the webinar, please type in your question in the question and answer section, or you can add it to the chat as well. Vanessa and Jeff will be answering live any questions you have. If there's one that's really interesting, we might bring at the end if we have time to answer some of the questions. So if there's any technical questions or any question you have at all, please share them in the question and answer button, and we will live answer the questions as we go through. So the objectives for today's webinar, hopefully at the end of this, we expect you to be able to create your own marketing plan. So you know the steps and the processes of creating your own marketing plan. You'll learn about the different options to process mobile payments, make electronic payments if you're doing direct payments. Become familiar with steps needed to apply for SNAP processing equipment and know how to use the fresh bucks program when making SNAP sales and so on. So it should be a fun, eventful time, and don't hesitate to write any questions as they come up throughout the webinar. So we'll get started. The first thing we're going to discuss are the 9 questions about how to set up your own marketing plan. You'll see in the chat, if you look in the chat, there is a link down the chat that you'll be able to get to the marketing manual. So you can click on that link and it'll take you right to the marketing manual. And the process that I'm going through right now is explained in the marketing manual, but the idea is that this will give us a few minutes to provide some opportunities. There's a marketing manual in English and in Spanish. But so we'll go in a little bit overview of what's in the marketing manual, these 9 steps, but in more detail are provided in this manual, and it has a worksheet at the end that we'll discuss that will allow you to create your own marketing plan. So why do we need a market? What's the importance of marketing? Us in the agricultural field, why do we need to market our products that we're producing? Well, you need to make consumers aware of what you're producing. Like if no one knows what you have and you have this great product and this great service, why would they come to you and get it, right? So the basic thing is that we need to let others know of the wonderful things that we're doing in our operation. And the reality is that the way that our marketing system, especially here in Florida, and those of us involved in specialty crops, those of us in cottage industries and so on, has changed a lot over the last few years. Now there's growing demand from consumers to buy directly from growers and to buy local products. If you see the growth in farmers markets increased by 180% from 2007 to 2014. And local ag products sales increased by 28% from 2015 to 2017. So they're now 3% of all ag sales, like $11 billion. These are data that's from USDA. And the reality is that these were trends that were happening even before COVID. And now what we've seen with the COVID pandemic is we have a lot of consumers going out, wanting to buy directly from growers. And there's a great opportunity, and they want to buy fresh local products that we produce. So there's a great opportunity in this, but for them to know about these products, we need to tell them what we have. We need to market what we're producing, what we have. So the days of past when we would sell our products to a wholesaler are going. And there's more and more opportunity to sell directly to these markets. And additionally, we have the changing in the way that we make sales. Online sales, digital marketing, social media is a whole new opportunity for us to let our customers know and the world know about the wonderful products that we have. And these tools can be very useful, but we also need to know how to use them and how to use them to our advantage. And it might seem like a daunting task, like this whole thing with all these new products and all these things is quite challenging. But in reality, when we break down this process into these 9 steps that we've developed, it is not so overwhelming. It's just do it little by little and think through the process. It can be done in developing a good marketing plan that can be very successful to your business. One thing I do want to mention here, this marketing plan is an idea is to complement a business plan. So any agricultural business that we have should have a business plan that helps us determine our costs and evaluate all those benefits in our business. And then once you have developed your business plan, you know what your business is going to be. The idea is to have this complementary marketing plan to sell the products that you're going to produce or services that you plan on producing. So the next, going through the steps of what it is in making your marketing plan. So there's 9 simple steps that we want to go through in your marketing plan, and these are spelled out in your marketing manual. So the first important thing is to set objectives. And there's something important in your business plan as well, but in your marketing plan, you got to think about what are your marketing objectives? Where do you want to be in developing this? And it's very important to develop SMART objectives. What's that mean? Those means that objectives are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Okay? You should not have too many objectives. There should be 4 or less. And in the end, we'll have an implementation of monitoring plan to determine how, if we're meeting these objectives. So here's a few examples of some good objectives that are specific, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. The first one is that in 5 years, we will double the sales volume at our own farm store. So how is that specific? It's specific, it tells you about your farm sales, and it says how much of your sales that you're gonna increase, right? It's relevant to your farm in that sense. It's something you think you could reach. And it has a specific time frame, right? So you can measure that and reevaluate and reassess and set new objectives in 5 years. Another one is within a year, we will make our first online sale. I think that's a very attainable goal, right? In a year, we develop our online, we develop our website and so on, and we develop our own sales. So that's an attainable goal you can make in a year. You can go back in a year, and if you haven't done that, you can evaluate, well, why didn't that happen? And maybe we have to redo our objective in a different way, right? Within 6 months, our business will have a website where clients can pre-purchase. That seems like an attainable goal that's time-bound and relevant to what you're doing in your business. On this, we at the University of Florida have some great resources that explains how to create your own SMART goals for your organization. I think we've listed a link in the chat, but here's one of the resources that if you want to go into deeper ideas about creating your own goals, you can go to this website for resources and how to use it. And like with any of this, all these links they're putting in the chat, but they're also available in the marketing manual and this presentation will be recorded so you can catch it later, as well as you can contact your extension agents in your counties that will help you walk through this and provide your resources, or contact any of us. But the second part, so the first thing is we set our goals. What do we want to do for our marketing plan? How are we going to get there, right? We're going to set these great goals of we want to reach this. We want to double our sales. We want our consumers to know about us. We want to set up an online platform or whatever. So how do we reach those goals? So we go through the next steps. Well, one thing we need to do is identify our competition. What are your competitors' strengths or weaknesses? Basically, you want to figure out how you fit into this game with your competitors. How do you create your competitive niche? Why are consumers coming to you? And how can you attract new consumers, right? So you need to take a little bit of look of how you're different from your competition. It's important to understand what prices your competition has to see what prices you want to offer, and they can be competitive with them. We'll talk more about in step 6. And how to promote your new product that sets you apart. Understanding your competitive niche will allow you to attract new customers, strengthen your current relationship, and it's an important prerequisite as we move on to the next steps about how we market and promote our product. Okay, so the first, we set our objectives. What do we want to reach with our marketing plan? Then we identify our competition to see, hey, how do we fit? How does our business fit into what we're doing? And how we compete and fit into our market niche to have great sales. So within this deciding how you fit, what's your competition, who your competition is, you want to see what your niche was, pointing out there, right? And part of that is determine what sets you apart. So some basic questions you can ask yourself. What benefits do your customers receive from your product or service? You know, the things about what keeps them coming back. How do your customers perceive this benefits? What do customers perceive as special? So what's unique about you? What's the benefits that you can provide your customers? Why did they purchase from you? And how are you going to present your product or service? So where will you present it? We'll talk about later about distribution strategies, but how will they know that this is your product or service? And how's the best way to make it attractive and eye appealing that they want to come in and see it? So think about the uniqueness of your product and something that you can promote about that can benefit your consumers. With that, to determine all those questions, we need to conduct some basic market research. Now, don't get too worried about this. It's not something too scary. I mean, us as economists do something really detailed and specific, but maybe some just basic questions, trying to see what your customers think about your business and how to improve it. I think many of us that have purchased products, we get an online survey back from a lot of the businesses asking, hey, how was our service? What could we improve? What we could do better? This is a great opportunity because it allows you to understand, hey, what do my customers think about us? And what can we do to keep and retain these customers, and maybe ideas about reaching out and getting other customers, right? So it's great to know what you're doing well, improve on those strengths, see where your weaknesses are, and how you can work on those. So there's some ways about just informally ask your customers. So if you're a really small business, haven't got too started, you're just starting to sell, it'd be great if you have the same person who comes back and buys from you a couple of times. It's like, hey, you know, why do you frequent my business? What do you like about us? And then what can we do better once you've established these great relationships with your customers? There's different ways to do things more formally. You can conduct more formal interviews. Here at UF, we have resources that give ideas about how you conduct surveys, focus groups, to get feedback if you wanted. You can have a short survey that you send out by email to your clients. If you have those type of clients, you can make a Google Docs or others to share it. Or you could have, a suggestion box in your store or in your stand, or just a short couple question survey, at there. So to give you an idea, if you follow these links, we have a whole survey series. If you wanted to go more into detail about how to conduct surveys with customers. But we have this whole survey series offered by the University of Florida IFAS and how you conduct telephone surveys, mail phone surveys, online surveys is probably the one that you would more likely use. But these links are being shared with you, but just give you an idea of the resources available. And you can think about that and come back to us. One of the things I want to point out is that what we're presenting today in these 9 steps, we're going to have an opportunity to meet with each of you that are here in Florida that can attend in person. And we can go over some of these ideas that you've worked through and looking about creating your own marketing plan. So it'd be a good idea, to look at some ideas about where you could want to do some marketing research or how you'd want to do it. And then there's focus groups as well. So here's an idea of a link of how, if you want to have a focus group, just have a couple customers one day. Maybe you have customers that come in and sit around and talk, and maybe you can just sit with them for a few minutes and ask a couple questions about what they like about your business. So there's different ways. You can even send text messages. If you have a link of a text message to consumers, you send them 1 or 2 questions on a text message. Hey, how did you like your purchase, right? Or while someone's leaving, ask them, hey, how was your experience with us? Or tell us what you liked about our product. So the most common is a post-purchase question about what you're doing to know about your customers. And it'd be good to ask where they found out about your business to understand where you can market your product and keep marketing at those areas. So once we've set our objectives, we have an idea about our competition and how we fit in this niche and how we're very special. And we've done some research about, have an idea of where we can do some market research to find this information about our customers. Part of that knowledge you want to know with the customers, who are your customers, right? Who are the people that are coming in and buying from you? Because the idea behind this is we need to know where we want to target our customers. We have different customer groups that use different social media, some the newspapers, different groups might use bulletin boards. So it's an idea of who you are is buying from you. And understand where you can reach these customers to promote your business. So one idea is to get more people like that into your business if you know these type of customers. Another thing you might want to do is identify, well, which group am I missing? Who do I think, that would be really interested in what I'm offering and they're not here, and how can I reach them? So understand who your customers are, who you're targeting, to think about where you want to set your strategies. So part of that knowing your customers is to understand your distribution strategy, right? So we know who our customers are, we need to know where they want to buy. So we believe maybe we have some special ethnic product that reaches a special ethnic community and we want to reach out to them and we have to go to the stores or where they're at, right? So determine if you want to sell directly to your customers, you want to sell indirectly through a wholesaler or packing house or others, or a combination of these strategies. It's a good idea to see if you're selling directly, if it's like a farmer's market, a stand, online sales, what does that mean for implications for transportation costs and so on. But one thing I always suggest, is try to diversify your markets and your distribution. Because if one market goes out, then you have an opportunity to sell in another market, right? So maybe you sell some products through a wholesaler, but maybe you won't have some things you sell at your farm or at your business directly. Maybe you have a website, right? And you also sell in a farmer's market. It's a great idea to have, not put all your eggs in one basket, as you like to say, to diversify. So that way, if something happens, you have another market to go to. I think a lot of us learned that in COVID. We've seen a lot of growers who had contracts, large contracts, and they went out and were able to fill it, and they had to switch quickly to do direct sales. So if you have these different markets set up, you can be more resilient in case something happens. It's a good idea to set a geographic area where you want to start. Now, my suggestion a lot for smaller businesses that are just starting is to start really local and develop your distribution network, improve your product, have the best quality you can, and then move out more regionally, and then maybe even nationally or internationally at some point. But to be really have your business in order before you move further out. Now, if you're a really strong business already and are looking at growing your geographic strategy area, that's something to think about, what marketing that you need to do to move into maybe neighboring communities, into a neighboring state and so on, to get out your product, and what does that mean for distribution channels, and think about the cost of that involved. Whether you're selling directly or indirectly, directly to consumers, or you're selling through markets, through wholesalers or whatever, it's an idea of how do you package your products, right? Should your product, if it's a nice jar that's attractive, that's directly sold, that's an option, right? Because then it catches the eye from your consumers. But if you're mailing it, of course, then you have to have packaging that protects the product that you're selling. So part of your distribution strategy is considering the packaging and the costs that go into the packaging. Just that we have another link here about what it means to sell directly. So we have an idea of direct markets in Florida. And this is a great page if you're looking at farmers markets, community supported agriculture, great resources here about learning what you can do to sell directly if you're looking at selling directly. So once we know where we want to sell it, we know what customers we have and maybe ones we want to target to grow our base. We need to know how can we get these customers, how we can get them to these distribution strategies, right? So I like the Fresh from Florida label that we have there. It's a beautiful label because it's just simple and everyone knows that you can see it. So it's not too complicated. But the idea of promotion is to have your customers prefer your product or service. It's something attractive that draws them in, right? A small slogan's really cool to get customers to join you and look for your product. Some attractive pictures is very useful, but it depends on your target audience, right? So that's why before we looked at who our audiences was and what characteristics of them, and depends on what sources they use, right? So it might even be, might have things in more than one language, depending on what audience you use, and how you present it in different languages could be different. It depends on if you're going to use flyers, newspapers, you're going to do social media, what social media you use, because there's different age groups that use different types of social media, TikTok, people that look at TikTok's different than the groups that look at Instagram and look at Facebook and Twitter. And so that would change a little bit about your promotional strategies. If you're trying to get tourists that are traveling down to a popular destination, to Disney or down here that are going to the Keys, maybe you want a sign on the highway that brings them off the highway, Depends on who you're reaching and where they frequent on your promotional strategy. So that's something to really think about as you think about your target audience. But a really good key, I think, is like the Fresh from Florida label, I can't highlight enough, is just to make it simple, not too complicated, and clear what your product is. I think many of us have seen an advertisement and are like, what was that for, right? And so make it clear about what it's for and attractive and easy to see. One thing that's really important when we're developing a new business, we're developing marketing, is deciding a price strategy, right? So we're promoting our product, we know who we want to get it to, but we have to determine how much we're going to sell it for. And I think many times us in agriculture and us have small businesses, we underprice the quality of our products. because we produce some really high quality products, especially products that are homegrown, maybe organic products or locally grown stuff or specialty products. You should really pay yourself on what it means, the value of that product. So the last point I have in there is, before we think of pricing strategy, is to know your production costs, your marketing costs, your packaging and storage costs, your distribution costs, and include that in your pricing strategy to make sure that you're covering your costs. I can't say that enough, to know our costs. And one thing that usually happens is that we forget to consider our own labor costs. So always consider what it costs you to work and to produce that product. And we have some good resources here. If you click on this link, and that they're being shared, about how to make an enterprise budget, which is just a budget to see how much it costs to produce a different product. And we have a lot of different enterprise budgets that we've made for different products and goods, from vegetables and fruits and so on that we produce here in Florida. But once we kind of know your pricing, what your product is how to set the price. And you can use a combination of these strategies. Actually, there's some of the tried and true strategies you've used. The cost-oriented pricing, right? When we know our production costs, we want to at least set that price to cover our costs, right? Now, there's a flexible pricing. So you want to take advantage of opportunities of when it's seasonal pricing and so on. So maybe you have a product that's very popular around the end of the year, a winter product. Or around a certain holiday, around Thanksgiving or 4th of July or whatever, then the value of your product will go up, and you want to take advantage of that and try to raise your prices when that is in higher demand, right? Relative pricing is using the market price. This is why it's important to know your competition. Know what prices that your competition has. And see if you have a product of higher quality, there's no problem offering a higher price than what your competition has. Your products of higher quality, and you make that clear to your clients in your marketing strategy, right? But it's a good idea to have more or less an idea of where they stand so that you compete with them. If you have the same product of them, you have a much higher price, you will be losing out. So it's good to have that in mind. And if you can't compete with them with higher production costs, you might have to think of what products you can. So that's always good to keep in mind. I think one of the other things that we fail at many times is keeping good records, right? So keeping good records of our sales, keeping good records of how much we spend to produce a product will help us really in the long term make a profitable business. Additional information about pricing. So one thing to know about what prices you can offer: if you have a fruit or vegetable or specialty crop product, this USDA marketing service website is very, very useful. So the links in there and the presentation you get in the chat, it's in the manuals. But something that if you want to know, especially a lot of us here in Florida grow specialty products that you can't find many places, and you can click in the USDA marketing service, and they have the national prices, so you can have an idea of what the prices are. So if I go into specialty crops and I go into fruit, let's say, but there's a whole bunch of different ones, and look at the whole list of fruits we have that you might not see somewhere else. So you can click on coconuts. We grow coconuts here in South Florida, and this is the prices for today for coconuts, for instance. So from $35 to $39 at the market in Atlanta. So they have the different areas in Baltimore, Boston, the big areas, and you can go back from the District of Columbia, and they say where the coconuts are from. These are from all imported. It doesn't look like we have any local coconuts here right now, but you can go back and choose dates and see how the prices have changed over the years. So that's a good website to play with a little bit if you're looking at prices for your specialty crop. I stopped sharing screen when I didn't want to. Here we go. Sorry about that. A different link. As I pointed out before, we have all these prices for specific products. So UFIFAS has conducted some research on what consumers are willing to pay on some products, such as, here's a good one on ornamental plants. This was consumer research on consumer preferences for ornamental plants. It might give you an idea of what prices you can charge your consumers, because it tells you how much consumers are willing to pay for these different types of ornamental plants. So there's some good research there to look at for these products. And there's research that's been done by UF on organic industry, if you're in organic products. So that's a good resource, as well as very important for us. They're taking locally produced products and has some ideas about consumers purchasing local produced products and how much they might be willing to pay more for these products. So it might be an idea to look through some of those resources if you're looking into those markets. So now we're at step 8. We're almost towards the end. So we have an idea of who we want to sell to. We have our objectives, who we want to sell to. We know how we fit in. We know what kind of marketing we want to do. Like, we know where we want to distribute. But now the time is like, hey, we have all these great ideas to see if we can afford to do it, right? So when we afford to do, and what can we afford to do, and think about what is the most important areas of the marketing plan to invest in that we can afford to do. So you have to realize it takes time and money to be effective marketing. You have to invest in marketing, but it pays off in the long time. So consider the value of your marketing in the price that you're going to sell your product. You need to cover your marketing costs and what you're selling for your product. So that's need to be considering your costs. And like I pointed out before, many times we forget our own labor, our family labor when we're doing things. So take that into consideration, your own time, and that's a value that you need to charge. Think about if you're getting a larger business and you want to move out and you want to hire a graphic designer or a public relationist to help you create a really cool, attractive logo. That might be something to check into. It might be a lot less expensive than you might think, but it's a good idea to have some of these things in mind for the different professionals that might be able to help you produce it. And ideas on using print materials or producing spots. I think we shared some links in there, but I know in the marketing manual, look through the marketing manual, we have some resources available where you can look to see what prices are to create a newspaper ad or to have a television spot for some of those ideas. And once we've gone through the whole process, right? So we have developed our objectives. We know we're going to sell our products, what products we're selling, how we're going to distribute it. We have a marketing plan. We have a plan that fits with our budget. We adjust our plan so that we can fit a plan within the budget and what we have. What really needs to be done is to ever so often update this marketing plan to see if it works, right? If you're marketing to an area and no one's coming back, no one sees your marketing there's no reason to keep investing in it, right? So one thing to do probably while you're doing your marketing research and you're talking to your consumers, many of you probably seen is like, hey, how did you learn about us, right? And that would be a good thing to ask, how did you learn about my business? Like a new customer comes in, hey, how do you know to come here? And to see what of your marketing has actually been effective. A lot of businesses do this on an annual basis. They look over their marketing plan and say, hey, what has worked, what has not, and then readjust their strategies for the next year, depending on what's worked. Something's really working really well to get more into that area and see which customers have come in. So it's a good idea to just ever so often, an annual basis, maybe even more frequently, want to set a date. Hey, has my marketing plan been working? Has this strategy been working to get these consumers? Where's a new idea to go into? It might be good to ask your consumers what platforms they use. Where do you look for information? What are your trusted sources? If it's on social media, if it's at a newspaper or whatever. So these are all kinds of information to think about. We have our plan. It's a living plan, and so that means it'll be changing as we move through the process. So on the last pages, on pages 13, 14, and 15 of the marketing manual, as you look through that, you will see these steps they'll go through the steps. So we have created this worksheet to try to make it very easy for you in developing your own marketing plan, right? And you can keep this one, you can type it up and make it as fancy as you want, but this is an easy way to help you go through and develop your marketing plan. Our objective for you, and Lori will talk about this at the end, is that you go through these steps, write down some ideas you have about what you would want for your marketing plan, what you've thought about in each of these steps. Bring this plan back to us, and we can go over it with you when we have our in-person events on the 18th, 19th, and 20th. Or if you can't attend that, you can work through this plan and talk to one of your extension agents or to me, and we can give you some ideas on how to improve your plan and implement it. So this is a good way to go through and just fill in some of your ideas about creating your own marketing plan. And it doesn't have to be too fancy. You can just think some ideas, but it should be an easy process. Like I said, it might seem daunting from the beginning, but if we have these broken down steps, it's much easier. Before we go to the break, I think we have a few minutes. I want to see if there's any burning questions. If not, we'll take a few minutes and go. We have a 10-minute break. So we'll give everyone 10 minutes to go to a break. If you have any questions, you can type them into the chat. And we'll keep answering that. Yeah, so the putting all together worksheet is available in the manual. So if you clicked on the manual, one of the first links, that will provide you with information on how to see at the end of page 14, 15, and 16 of the manual. It has that worksheet at the end of the manuals. We'll be having hard copy manuals that we'll be bringing to the in-person workshops. But that's the one online you can print off or work in a place you want. 13, 14, 15, the manual, yes.
Trent, also I got some email requests regarding maybe just reminding them about the locations and link for the in-person registrations towards the break or at the end of the program.
Yeah, so at the end of the program, we discussed that, but I can point that out again. So we'll be sharing, maybe Michaela can put the link for our website that has all the registration. But we have the 18th, we'll be having a meeting in Estero in Lee County, and also in Bartow in Polk County. So that's from 9 to noon on the 18th. May 19th from 9 to noon, we'll be holding it here in Homestead at the extension office. And then on the 20th, May 20th, also from 9 to noon, we'll be holding it in Fort Pierce at the Indian River Research and Education Center. But all that information is online, and Lori will go over this again, as well as her program on the 12th on digital marketing. Yeah. The tropical fruit question, Jeff can answer in the question and answers. So there's the in-person training and information. I was told that everyone wasn't able to see my screens when I was changing. So I'm going to show you the screens that I had for the marketing. News, so everyone can see it.
I don't see the tropical fruit questions, so.
There's a question and answer.
Oh, okay, I didn't look there.
Okay, thank you for that, Jeff. Thanks. Oop, that's not what I want. Okay, can everyone see this screen? So I don't think I thought everyone saw this before. So I want to show this now. This is a link that we have on the agricultural marketing service that I thought probably didn't come across in screen share, and I'm sorry. So the agricultural marketing service from the USDA provides information on prices for all kinds of products, fruits and vegetables and ornamental plants. And so if you click, for instance, you can click on any of these, and they have terminals from, you can click on terminals, like there's a terminal here in Miami, there's a terminal in Boston, there's Chicago, Los Angeles, Dallas, I think. And you can see the prices for the different products at these different terminals. So it gives you an idea of the value of your products. that would be at the wholesale price. So if I click on fruit, and if I go to fruit and I click on any, some fruit that we grow, like mangoes, and it shows the price of mangoes today. Right now, we don't have too much mango production in Florida, so you wouldn't see them from Florida, but there's some from Peru and that in Atlanta now, in Mexico, Nicaragua. But when Florida production, they'll say the origin Florida, you can see the prices and the date of the prices there. So that's a website to go to get some resources about what you're getting. I think one of the first slides that I wanted to show you is there's this resource. This is one of the links that we were sharing that we have from IFAS on how to get SMART goals. In the Ask IFAS website, you can get all kinds of resources that we produce from the University of Florida on production prices, all kinds of crops. But this is one of the links I shared on how to make a SMART goals. Here's a link on doing survey information. That was one of in the marketing research. So it gives you a whole idea if you click on one of these and how to do telephone interviews, online interviews, or anything like that. So these are all great resources that we have available. And one of the other ones I wanted to point out here on making production budgets. This is a great website. That was one of the links, and that's also the manual on direct marketing. So I would suggest any of you that are interested in direct marketing, there's a great resources here to look at about where are some farmers markets you can sell on, how to do CSAs, community supported agriculture, how to information on pricing and so forth. So we have some great resources here available for you to start as you're doing your business planning and marketing planning. So that, I will stop sharing my screen and let everyone go on their break unless there's any other questions. So we will start then in 10 minutes. So 10:55, let's say, we will start with the second session on electronic sales. Let everyone get a drink of water and whatever, and we can come back. Before we start, I just wanted to mention that a couple people had questions about having access to the slides and so on. We're recording this, and so it'll be available on the website. So I think we put the website in the chat a few times that we'll have at the end, so you can watch it again or share it with anyone. As well, we will upload our PDF slides to the website, and we can send everything out to those who have registered for the event. So if you missed something, if you want to go back to it, if you want to share any of these resources or recording with anyone that you know, it will be made available to you. So thank you. And I think we're ready to start the second section. Freddie and Selena will be talking about how to do electronic sales and about how making sales through Snap.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the workshop. So today I'm going to talk about mobile payment solutions for growers engaged in direct marketing. Okay, first, let's take a look at the evolving mobile payments landscape. So last year, 82% of Americans used some form of digital payment. And back in 2019, the size of the US mobile commerce market was about $283 billion. And most of the transactions were conducted using both credit and debit cards. And another interesting fact is the growing adoption of smart devices. 85% of Americans own a smartphone, excuse me, and 21% of Americans use smartwatches. Why is this important? Because smart devices might be used for mobile contactless payments. Additionally, the recent deployment of the 5G network will help to process mobile payments. So this is an interesting time to use technology to process payments. So after all the hard work to get consumers, right? So you want to close the sale, right? And it doesn't have to be a hassle either for you or for your customers. Fortunately, there are plenty of options to process mobile payments, so that's not a problem. However, some research is needed to decide which platform best suits your needs. Additionally, it's important to consider the different costs associated with each one of the different platforms available. In some cases, you might need to sign for a contract. In some cases, you have the flexibility to use as you go. So now a disclaimer, UF-IFAS does not endorse any of the platforms presented. There are plenty of options out there to process mobile payments. However, the platforms presented are already being used by farmers and in several farmers markets. Additionally, some of these platforms have the flexibility to diversify your payment options in case you want to process SNAP benefits also. So now let's take a look at two basic options to process credit and debit payments. So Square Reader is the most basic option to process debit and credit payments. It's just a small piece of hardware that you can plug into your smartphone or tablet. You can get this one for free. And this one can process Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and American Express payments. The transaction fee is 2.6% of the sale plus 10 cents per swipe. So for a $10 sale, the seller's transaction fee would be 36 cents in total. And typically funds are available in the next business day. The next basic option is PayPal Settle. This one is a bit more sophisticated. It can process Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, Google Pay, and of course PayPal. And this device can manage both chip and contactless payments. But for this one, you need to pay. So the cost for this piece of hardware is $29. And the transaction fee is 2.29% of the sale plus 9 cents per transaction. So for a $10 sale, the transaction fee would be 32 cents in total. And if you use this PayPal settle, you need to open a PayPal account because the money from all the sales will go to that account, and the money will be available within 1 business day. So what if you want to be able to process a SNAP benefits? If that's the case, then you need to contact MarketLink, which is a program of the National Association of Farmers Market Nutritional Programs. This program was created back in 2013, and it has helped more than 3,000 farmers and markets accept electronic payments. So the program assists growers and local markets with completing the SNAP retailer application and applying for the free SNAP processing equipment. In the case of Florida, SNAP participants who buy directly from growers at farmers markets or from farm stands, consumer-supported agriculture, mobile markets, and online markets might get their benefits doubled by the Fresh Access Box program. So Solina will talk about this specific in more detail. So who is eligible to apply to get the SNAP benefits processing equipment? So the program is targeted to 2 main groups. So the first group is direct marketing farmers, defined as individual producers of agricultural products that sell directly to the market. And the second main group is farmers market, and this is defined as 2 or more farmer producers selling their own agricultural products directly to the public at a fixed location. In some cases, the program might consider other business models, but the main requirement is that the grower is selling the product directly to the consumer. But for these other special cases, you might need to contact the program and see what are their specific requirements. So how do you get a SNAP benefits processing equipment? So you need to follow several steps, and I'm going to provide an overview of the different steps needed to apply for the equipment. So the first thing to do is you need to complete an eligibility assessment. So there is a form online, and it has a few questions. But remember, the main definition of the main target are direct marketing farmers and farmers market. There is an option for neither. So that's when you need to contact the program and see if you are still eligible to apply. So once you have established your eligibility, right, then you need to get some documents ready. So before you begin, you need to have some basic documents. So if you apply as an individual, you need a copy of your social security card and a copy of your driver's license. So you need to have these documents handy. And if you are applying as a nonprofit, then you need a copy of the 501c3 and a copy of any additional business licenses that you might have. And even if you don't qualify for the free equipment, and if you still want to purchase it, you need to provide the bank account information, and you should be able to sign the contracts for processing transactions. I will go in more detail about this in the next slide. So now that you have all the documents, you are ready to start the application. So the first thing to do is to get approved by the Food Nutrition Service of the USDA. And you have 2 options. So you might fill out all the application on your own, right? It takes several steps. So I'm gonna provide an overview of it. But also, if you don't want to do it by yourself, fortunately, you might choose to have one of Market Link's representatives to complete the application for you. So this is a great benefit. This is an excellent help for you because, as you will see later, it takes several steps to apply and to get the equipment. So in case you decide to do the process by yourself, the first thing is that you need to set up an online account to send the application. So there are several tips and information in the Market Link website. And then after you have set up your account, then you are able to submit an application to get the FNS number. And as it was the case before, Market Link has all the information, all the detailed information and examples that you might follow in the case you want to complete the application by yourself. The next step is to set up your payment processing account. So to start accepting electronic SNAP payments, you need to set up an account to process this type of payments. So, and again, you need to provide your bank account information. You need to provide the FNS number that you got in the previous step. And if you are interested in accepting electronic payments, both credit and debit, you must set up a merchant account for this transaction. So it is possible to use the same platforms that is used to collect SNAP payments to process also credit and debit transactions. I'm going to provide the details about this a bit later, but you have that flexibility. Okay, and the next step is the, so once you have been approved, right, you will be notified by email that your account has been approved. And then usually in 2 to 3 weeks, you will be able to get the piece of equipment needed to process SNAP benefits. Excuse me. So if you qualify, you might get the equipment to process SNAP benefit. This is the Total Pay Go system. So this is the equipment needed to process the SNAP benefits. And if you are eligible, you get this for free, and also the associated fees waived for 1 year. After the first year, the fees are $30 per month or $323 per year. In case you don't qualify for the free equipment, but you still want to process SNAP payments, you might be able to purchase the equipment at a cost of $319. So, as I said before, you might be able to process both SNAP, credit and debit payments under the same platforms. So if that's the case, the first option is to use Total Pay Go and Square Reader, or the second option is to use Total Pay Go and WorldPay. So let's take a look at each of these options. So the first option, Total Pay Go and Square Reader. So you will use Total Pay Go to process the SNAP benefits. That doesn't change. By default, Total Pay Go is the payment platform for SNAP benefits. Now, if you want to process credit and debit, then you need to get the Square Reader for chip and contactless cards. So this is different from the one that I showed you at the beginning. This one has more capabilities, but you need to pay for this one. This one costs $49, but this one can process chip cards, contactless cards, Apple Pay, and Google Pay. And as before, the Square Reader has a transaction fee of 2.6% of the sale plus 10 cents per transaction. So you can implement all under the same Total Pay Go platform. So they are compatible. So there is not a problem on implementing this. And the second option is to use WorldPay. In that case, you don't need to buy any additional hardware. So it works with the Total Pay Go. However, oh, sorry. Oh, excuse me. However, transaction and annual fees apply. So the transaction fee is 15 cents per transaction plus 179% for the sale. So remember, this is for a credit and debit transaction using WorkPay. And a $120 annual maintenance fee is charged, and a 3-year contract is required. The Square Reader doesn't, you don't have to sign any contract, but if you plan to use this one, yeah, of course, you don't have to get the hardware, but then you need to sign a 3-year contract. So now let's summarize the different payment options. So if you want to process just credit and debit payments, you have 2 options, either the Square Reader or PayPal Settle. You can get the Square Reader for free, right? And for a $10 sale, the transaction fee would be 36 cents. If you use PayPal Settle, then you need to pay $29 for the equipment. But remember, this one has more advanced capabilities. It can process contactless payments. So, and the fee for a $10 sale using PayPal Settle will be 32 cents. But none of these systems are compatible with Total Pay. So this is just for credit and debit payments. Now, if you want to process just SNAP benefits, you need to apply and see if you are eligible, right? And if you are eligible, you get the equipment for free. And then all the maintenance, the associated maintenance fees free for the first year. But then after the first year, you need to pay $30 per month or $323 per year. Other than the annual maintenance fee, you don't have to pay anything else. Now, if you want to process, to be able to process SNAP benefits and credit and debit payments, then you have 2 options. So you need Total Pay Go to process a SNAP by default. That's the only option to process a SNAP benefits. And then you have the option of adding a Square Reader, right? But then you need to buy the equipment. It's $49, but remember, this one has more advanced features, like this one is able to process contactless payments. And the fee for a $10 sale is 36 cents. And yeah, this one is compatible. If you choose WorkPay, you don't have to buy additional hardware, but then you need to pay a $120 annual maintenance fee, and you are required to sign a 3-year contract. So that's an important consideration. And the fee for a $10 sale, that will be 33 cents. That's all that I have. If you have any questions.
Hey, Freddie, there is a question. Jessica Johnson, a question. Is there a percentage fee for accepting SNAP benefits?
No, you just need to pay for the first year, if you are eligible, then the maintenance fee for the first year are waived. Then after the first year, then the grower needs to pay either monthly or annually.
So that's a fee for the equipment, but for taking SNAP, there's no fee, right?
No,
No.
not at all, no.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Freddie. Next slide, please. Good morning, everyone. My name is Selena Rolfs, and I'm so happy to be with you all here today to share a little bit about the Family Nutrition Program and the farm to community support we provide in SNAP eligible communities. I I'll start with a brief introduction and then I'll share some resources available to you through the Family Nutrition Program. The USDA distributes SNAP funds, formerly known as food stamps, to millions of Florida families each year who are living on a low-income budget to support their ability to purchase food and move towards self-sufficiency. SNAP eligible households face barriers such as transportation challenges, disability, chronic physical or mental health issues, substance abuse, domestic violence, intergenerational poverty, historical trauma, limited education, and or low literacy. These are some of the challenges which SNAP eligible households might face. And those who are eligible to receive SNAP are youth, adults, parents, caregivers, and seniors living in households which earn up to 20% of the poverty line. Those are who are eligible to be able to accept SNAP. So the USDA distributes funding to be used directly by families who meet those requirements to be able to purchase food, and also distributes funding designed to support SNAP recipients with knowledge and skills to be able to stretch their budget and access healthy and nutritious foods. Next slide, please. FNP, the University of Florida IFAS Extension Family Nutrition Program, is the SNAP education and one of the SNAP education implementing agencies in the state of Florida, and provides free nutrition education lessons for adults and youth from a variety of curriculum, including one-time nutrition lessons or series-based curricula. Classes focus on learning nutrition, how to shop for foods on a healthy budget, how to shop for healthy foods on a budget, and how to prepare tasty and healthy meals. FNP helps limited resource families in Florida access more nutritious foods on a budget and adopt healthier eating and physical activity habits to reduce the risk of obesity and chronic disease. As a food system specialist, my role is to help increase access for SNAP eligible recipients to healthy food options through projects such as the Farm to Community program, which is designed to bring fresh quality produce directly to SNAP eligible Floridians. Next slide, please. So what would be some of the reasons to support the SNAP program? You can expand access to fresh, local, nutritious foods for SNAP customers and foster health in your community. You can also build a new customer base and increase your sales and support the local economy, as well as potentially offload surplus without additional planting or harvesting, depending on how you design a system. What you would need to participate is products such as fruits, vegetables, eggs, and honey. And you want to focus on variety. If it's a CSA model, the quantity of product you would want to be based on the household size. You also would need customers. So consistent customers who want to purchase high quality local produce at a reasonable cost using SNAP benefits, cash or credit cards. You also would need a site champion that is the liaison between the community and the customers and yourself to be able to promote, recruit, and maintain the customer relations, as well as a payment and delivery system. So for the payment and delivery system, you would need internet connection and equipment to be able to accept the payments, as well as change for cash if you're accepting cash. And you'll also need to select a convenient space for customers to be able to be there when you make your delivery, and bring a table or tablecloth and promotional signage. Next slide, please. So now I'm going to share some resources available to you if you are interested in participating to be able to accept SNAP as payment, or to participate in the Fresh Access Bucks program. Next slide, please. So one of the resources available to you, which has already been mentioned, is Market Link. And Market Link is able to provide you the free equipment, as well as your first year free of using the app to accept the payment. And then following the first year, then you would need to pay the monthly or annual fees. And they have a really great website, which has been shared in the chat, which really walks you through the process, the entire application process. And our program also works with partners who can help assist you in the application process if needed. So we could help connect you with those partners. Next slide, please. So once you do accept SNAP as payment, another resource available to you is participating in the Fresh Access Bucks program. And the Fresh Access Bucks program basically doubles the value that a SNAP customer pays at a market for the customer at no cost to you. So the way it could work is there's different, depending on the setting, there's a couple different systems that are used. And once again, the website is really amazing and shares a lot of great resources and explains everything very well. But one way it could work is if it's a farmer's market, the SNAP customer would swipe their card and then receive double the amount in tokens, and double the amount that they had swiped their card for. So if they swipe their card for $10 of SNAP, then they would receive $20 worth of tokens of Fresh Access Bucks. And one of the really cool aspects of the program is that the tokens don't expire. So they don't need to necessarily spend all of them that day. They could save them for another time when they come back. And you would be supplemented through the Fresh Access Bucks program, the difference. So it's a grant that is intended to encourage SNAP customers to be able to purchase healthy local foods. And those dollars have to be used specifically on Florida grown produce. And in addition to supporting SNAP customers with access to healthy foods, it also supports local food providers to be able to increase their customer base and to sell to SNAP customers in a way that the SNAP customer can more easily afford it. Next slide, please. So this is the farmers market example of how it works. So they share a couple of different examples on the website for like a corner store system, a farmers market system, an online system. So it's a little bit complicated, but they explain it really well. So in this farmers market scenario, the customer goes to the booth at the farmers market that is able to accept, or that participates in the Fresh Access Bucks program, swipes their EBT card and gets their tokens. And then the SNAP tokens can be used with participating vendors around the market for SNAP eligible items, which are fruits and vegetables, bread products, meat, fish, poultry, eggs, dairy, seeds and plants. That's another cool addition that's it's been more recently added, and produce. So the green FAB tokens are only for Florida grown produce, plants and seeds, and the SNAP tokens are for all the other items mentioned above. And both the SNAP and FAB tokens don't expire, and the green FAB tokens can be used at any FAB market, whereas the SNAP tokens are unique to that specific farmer's market where the customer received them. Next slide, please. So if you go to the Fresh Access Bucks website, they have a lot of great materials for SNAP customers to kind of learn more about the program and the benefits they can have access to, as well as for vendors who might be interested in participating in the program to learn more about how they can participate. So if you click on the Fresh Access Bucks outlet tab, and then go to the promotional materials, you can also learn, they have a lot of tips and resources for promoting your market or your produce that you're selling. Next slide, please. These are some of the resources available. So they have videos on how to access FAB partners promotional materials, customizing FAB promotional materials, FAB promotion with any budget. That's a really cool video where it shows you, like, even if you're working on a $0 budget, all the things that you can do. And a lot of it is social media related. And so I would really encourage you, whether you participate in this program or not, to check out that video if you are interested in learning more about social media promotion, if you feel like you could learn more about it. And they also have a video on cultural messaging. So making your program welcoming to the culture, all different cultures who are your customers, and culturally relevant recipes and things like that. As well as they have a video or another slideshow with so some more social media best practices, which that's another one I highly recommend checking out. Next slide, please. So we at the Family Nutrition Program, we work with our FAB partners to connect you to them. So they're really the ones that can, of course, assist you with the process to be able to participate in that program. So in addition to connecting you with the FAB partners, or if you're interested in that program, or Market Link, if you're interested in that, we also provide additional support to promote locally grown produce. Next slide, please. So this could look like connecting you with local community sites where we're teaching nutrition education to establish new locations for CSA models, mobile market models, such as the picture here shown is at an early childcare center in one of the counties in the Southwest, where we have nutrition education, and a food provider decided to offer a customer's choice style market. So they would set up during parent pickup hours, and our nutrition educators would provide a lesson that's relevant to what's being sold with some recipes, and then the parents could shop around. So that's one one way that we support these connections, or bringing the community to the produce. So we can provide support with arranging a field trip where we can welcome participants, explain how the SNAP and FAB program works, as well as provide nutrition lessons and recipe handouts that are relevant to the produce available. Next slide, please. So I'll share a quick spotlight of another example of one of these systems that was set up in another county. So Urban Folk Farm is a small family-owned farm in Duval County. They were selling to customers at farmers markets, and they also had a farm stand located on their property. And they were already actually participating in EBT SNAP programming, so they're accepting that, and members of Fresh Access Bucks. I think there's one more click. And they were also offering CSA delivery to local schools and businesses. But they were just really interested in expanding their connection with SNAP customers, and their because they weren't having quite as much participation as they would hope to see. So at one of the centers where we were providing nutrition education, called Campus Towers, which was a senior living facility, the seniors living there were facing transportation as a barrier to be able to access healthy produce. So there was kind of nothing in the nearby area, or that they had access to healthy produce. And if you can click a couple more times, I think there's, yeah, thank you. And one more, or two more actually. So the seniors were very active in regularly attending the nutrition education classes, and also the nutrition educator was aware that those seniors did receive SNAP benefits on a monthly basis. So it was identified as a potentially good fit for the farmers who wanted to connect more with SNAP customers, to be able to come to this senior living facility where there was a need for produce and a lack of easy access. Next slide, please. Oh, and before the next slide. So the one really important element is the site coordinator. So the nutrition educator was able to work with a site coordinator to kind of get permission and arrange for Urban Folk Farm to be able to sell their produce at the senior living facility. Next slide, please. And as a first start, in order to develop a system, the Urban Folk Farm began by bringing just 10 to 15 bags and an EBT reader. And can you click a couple more times, please? Which were sold on a first come, first serve basis. So it wasn't a exact CSA where people sign up ahead of time. It was more just they brought some bags, and whoever purchased them first was able to receive them. And then over time, they began taking orders and building trust with the seniors living there. Next slide, please. And eventually they developed a modified CSA system where once a month they made deliveries to the sites. And because they participated in the Fresh Access Bucks program, they were able to offer bags that were worth $10 of produce, but the customers, the seniors there, only had to pay $5 per bag. Can you click one more, I think? And so the bags were farmer's choice, as is in the normal CSA model of the fresh produce that was available at the time that the farmers had on hand. And, you know, it would be different with each delivery. So the customer would kind of, receive whatever was available at the time. However, the customers would pay at the time of delivery and not for the season. So as in some CSAs where you kind of commit to a full season, this was more on a month by month basis. And I see a question in the chat from Natalia. How were they allowed to carry their SNAP reader offsite? I believe that if the reader because it had the internet connection or the way that it was set up, they were able to kind of process that transaction just with their internet. And I don't know exactly the details there, so I can ask about that for you and get back to you with that. Next slide, please. So this is another way of promoting potentially your produce with nutrition education, or the way that we promote produce available at locations where SNAP customers can purchase it. So with our nutrition education classes, we provide information about why fruits and vegetables are good for you because they're full of fiber, and how it's important to eat the rainbow of different fruits and vegetables, and just different information and messaging around maybe what's in season or what's available there. And then we also select recipes that are highlighting the produce available, and provide, sometimes we can provide recipe demonstrations or food tastings depending on the setup. And it really does a lot. It goes a long way to when people get to have that direct experience, tasting something or talking, really highlighting a produce item that's available. For example, I'll just share like a really quick story. We had a lesson that I got to help out with recently called Name That Fruit or Vegetable. And there was a variety of turnips, beets, carrots, of all different shapes and sizes and colors that even I had a really hard time identifying what was what. And so we prepared fresh samples of little slices for people to try, as well as roasting them. And I think if someone has never had a turnip before, raw or cooked, it can be kind of intimidating. But then once a customer gets the opportunity to taste it, to try it, and see it's really delicious, and learn about the health benefits, it definitely made a big difference in them being more interested in purchasing those items. Next slide, please. And for vendors who do accept SNAP as payment, who are selling Florida grown produce, we also have resources to be able to provide signage, such as the ones you see here. These are signs that were designed by us in collaboration with the partners. So you can kind of create your own design of interest in terms of like a color palette or things like that. So if you are interested in any of these resources and you accept SNAP as payments, we would love to provide these for you. Next slide, please. Another project that we support to help kind of highlight and encourage Florida grown produce is the Florida Crunch, which is a tasting event. It takes place during October in celebration of National Farm to School Month. And these can be scheduled in classrooms or in cafeterias. And the idea is to purchase something Florida grown and to highlight that farm or farmer or farmers in general in Florida. And we kind of, whatever the produce item is, for example, if it's star fruit or a cucumber or a piece of dragon fruit, we kind of talk about the benefits of that produce item. We talk about being good tasters, and then there's a countdown, and then everybody takes a bite all at the same time, like 3, 2, 1, crunch. And the event can be it can be really short. It can be like a 10-minute or 15-minute tasting event where there's a lot of promotion ahead of time, or it can be a little bit longer, and it can be as big as people are interested in supporting it. So it can include the school food service, community members, farmers in person, or I've been interested in doing short clips of videos. Last year we showed videos of Florida farmers, but I would love to show videos of Miami-Dade farmers for the schools and sites that are participating in Miami-Dade County. So if you're interested in us purchasing your produce for any of these tasting events, or in perhaps having a short, like a 30-second or 1-minute video of you and your farm, just to highlight what you do, we would love to highlight our Miami-Dade County farmers and Florida grown produce. Next slide, please. So these are some pictures of Florida Crunch events. And we would love to have you join us. So it's a fun way for students to learn about nutrition and agriculture, to celebrate together in a classroom or a cafeteria. And the intention is to really connect schools and childcare centers with local farmers to purchase produce from for tasting, and to develop a relationship. So the hope is that over time that relationship can be extended beyond that one event. Again, it can include parents, school food service, farmers, community members to join together in the celebration. And you can see in the bottom picture that people dressed up like what the produce item was that they were tasting there. And we have a lot of resources to help promote the event as well, on social media or in various different platforms. And I think that's it for me. So if you are interested or in participating or receiving support in any of these items, in being connected with the FAB partners who can help walk you through participating in that program, or in having nutrition education, or doing a tasting event or a field trip or anything like that, if you are interested in working with SNAP customers, please reach out. I would love to help connect you and support the connection between our local agriculture and SNAP communities. And I think the next slide has my contact info, and I'll also add it to the chat. And that's all for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Selena, and our other presenters this morning, almost afternoon. I am Laurie Baker. I know Trent mentioned me earlier. I will be hosting the things more related to social media and online marketing components later on a future webinar. I am going to promote some of those items, but we wanted to pause right here to ask you to take an evaluation for us. It is very short. You can use your phone to scan the QR code here, or you can use the link. I think we will post that link in the chat. Yep, there it is right there. So if you could do that, we'll just give you 2 or 3 minutes here to complete that evaluation. As I said, it is short, and then we will share some of our future learning opportunities related to this project with you.
I'm thinking while everyone is doing the evaluation, maybe we can introduce our group once again for some people that join in late. So I'll introduce myself again. I'm Trent Blair. I'm with the Tropical Research and Education Center. I'm assistant professor in food and resource economics. But I wanted to point out, you can reach out to any one of us in this team if you have any questions, to Lori or I or anyone else. So Jeff?
Hey, everybody, I'm Jeff Washaleski. I'm the commercial tropical fruit extension agent down in Miami-Dade County. My office is in Homestead.
Selena just presented, so I think everyone knows her. Vanessa?
Hi, everyone. My name is Vanessa Vasilaros. I'm also an extension educator in Miami-Dade County. So if you have any questions regarding my program, which is helping producers in ornamental commercial nurseries, I'll be happy to help you.
Then Jessica joined.
Hey everyone, I'm Jessica Riles. I'm the Agriculture and Sustainable Food Systems agent in Collier County. So if you have any questions for Collier County, Southwest Florida, feel free to reach out.
And Freddie, you can introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. I'm Freddie Ballen. I work at the Tropical Research and Education Center in Homestead, Florida. I work with Trent. And yes, you can feel free to contact us if you have any questions about the how to apply for the SNAP benefits processing equipment. And if you have any other questions, you are welcome to contact us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, for those of you who are done with the evaluation, we can go ahead and just chat briefly about our future opportunities. And then I think we have some time to ask questions and us answer some questions. We do have 2 more upcoming webinars. This same webinar will be repeated in Spanish coming up on May 10th. So if there are people who who would have preferred to have this content in Spanish, please point them to the webinar on the 10th, where we will repeat this content and make it available in Spanish. And then the webinar that myself and one of my graduate students who just graduated yesterday will be presenting about using social media and online sales. We touched a little bit about that today, but that will be the entire focus of marketing in a digital age with social media and online sales. And that one, we are using the tool within Zoom where myself and my graduate student will present in English, and then other members of our team have volunteered to do live translation. So people will be able to listen either in Spanish or English, whichever they prefer. So please join us for those. We also have a couple of, or a few rather, upcoming in-person events. So the next slide highlights some of those opportunities. The concept for these is that we hope people will already have looked at the manual and attended these webinar series and come with at least the highlights of their manual completed. And we're going to sit down with people and answer questions and help you talk through your strategy and what pieces would be most helpful for you to focus on in that process. We have 4 of those. We would love it if you would sign up, at least to let us know if you want your printed copy of the manual in English or if you want it in Spanish. At that time, we'll also be presenting a series of case studies where we're collecting examples of what other people are doing for marketing their products in a digital age. So we'll share some of those examples and see if some of those might be relatable for your business as well. So that is the next phase of this project. Everything will be pretty wrapped up by the end of May, but we would be happy to leave our last 10 minutes here for any questions that we could still answer for you today. For any of our panelists, would be happy to answer those questions.
So if you found that this was useful, and one thing I want to do is just keep, part of us is the marketing. So if you found that these events was useful, like I said before, it'll be on, we'll recorded this, so you can share this with your friends or anyone that you thought was this workshop was useful. But also, if anyone wasn't able to attend, someone wasn't able to attend and like to attend a future event, please encourage them to attend. It's not a prerequisite that you've had listened to this to attend the in-person events. So if you think anyone that want to attend in-person events, we would be happy to take anyone that would bring any of their marketing or questions on farm business management or any question. We will all be there. I think Lori will be at the one in Bartow. I will be at the other three, but we'll have our extension agents from across the state that will be attending the other ones. In Homestead, you will see Jeff and Vanessa. And Jessica will be with me in Estero. So.
There's a question in the chat from Jessica. Is there a market that receives more in SNAP benefit payments than others, i.e. farmers market, farmer stands?
Probably more for Selena that might know that.
I'm not sure I'm understanding the question exactly. So, more in SNAP benefits than other. Oh, okay. So what type of system tends to participate more maybe in these SNAP programs? I am not sure of the answer. I think that would be a good question for the Fresh Access Bucks team members. I do know that in our program, I think that the farm to community kind of CSA model has been pretty common. So that would be where the farmer kind of makes a stop or a delivery at a location where the community is already. So for the senior center example or the early child care example. Okay, where are they spending SNAP? So I think this can be at farmers markets, at farm stands. This program has been expanded to be possible online now too, like you can have an online system. And it has also been expanded to corner stores recently. So I see another question. Which market has the highest SNAP transactions? Again, I'm not, are you asking for a name of a specific market? I know that in Miami-Dade County, and you can go on to the Fresh Access Bucks website and see a map of all the participating locations that receive, that participate in the Fresh Access Bucks program. One of the organizations that has several markets is Urban Oasis Project. They operate a farmers market in Legion Park, as well as Tropical Park, and more recently at Vizcaya and the Adrian Arch Center. So they're one of the markets that does a lot of participation in this program. And other than that, I don't know the exact answer to that. So I think that would be something that would be good to ask the Fresh Access Bucks team about.
So Selena, maybe related to that might be helpful is where do you see people accepting it? So you said corner stores, farmers markets. Are there CSAs that accept SNAP benefits?
Yes. So another partner that accepts SNAP benefits is, well, sorry, I guess I've been thinking especially about the Fresh Access Bucks program. So that
Okay.
would be Bee Heaven Farm. Participates in the Fresh Access Bucks program. So SNAP benefits, yes, you can see a lot of that at corner stores. Definitely a lot of corner stores. And I've seen recently, I live down in the Redland area. I've seen recently a farm stand put up signage that says that they accept SNAP EBT. So that's exciting. Hope to see more of those. I feel like probably the people who do, like the farmers who do accept SNAP, it's very beneficial to participate in the Fresh Access Bucks program as well. So again, the main ones, the big ones that I know of are Urban Oasis Project and Bee Heaven Farm.
Yeah, so Selena, just a question. Any crop can be eligible to be under the SNAP program, or there's some requirements to meet?
I think for SNAP benefits, there are some, so I think all like food crops, so that being produce, would be eligible, because for SNAP, it has to be meet a certain nutritional standard. So for example, and it can't be prepared foods, but I think all produce would be eligible. So all food crops, I think, should be eligible. And if you're wondering specifically about something, like if you're eligible to be able to accept SNAP as payment, a good place to look would be on the Market Link website. There's guidance for kind of how to be able to do that application. So if you had a specific question there, you might find it on that website.
Thank you, Selena.
I saw two questions that I can quickly answer. One asked about how you can get a hard copy of the manual. We have hard copies of the manuals. We'll be bringing them to the in-person events. So if you go into the in-person event and register and say you want a hard copy, you can get it. Otherwise, if you can contact your extension office, whichever county you're in, or to me directly, and we can get them to the extension offices. You can pick it up from your extension office. I can get it there. So just either reach out to your extension agent or to me. And there was one question I think that was really interesting from Paul. He says, I'm doing a small scale hydroponic vegetable farming for my own family's consumption. I've been reasonably successful with this. That's really cool. I would like to build additional facilities and sell in Orlando. Are there any resources you're aware of that might be helpful for me to identify these niche markets? Yes. So we can talk more in detail, Paul, if you get in contact with me. And we do have, talk to the Seminole County or Orange County Extension Office, but we have some market research looking at different opportunities for some products. I can help you point out some of our IFAS resources and other resources. So if you go and ask IFAS, you can find some of the links I sent you about that are in the marketing manual about some consumer demand for local products and so on, and how to do market research for that. But I'd be willing to talk to you more about how to do specific market research for a certain product, or look at what research is out there for that. So if anyone else is interested, but please, Ask IFAS is really a good resource to start looking at some information about different markets and opportunities. But again, you can reach out to any one of us on this line. And I think with that, we're about done. So I don't want to take any over time, but we thank you all for participating. We hope to see every one of you on the 12th. Lori's going to have an incredible presentation on social media. I've seen some of what she's done. It's really, really fascinating and very useful. And thanks for sharing that link, Jessica. Yeah, and sign up for the in-person events. So thank you all for coming. We hope to see you soon.